Let's do it.
Sounds great.
This is the Trade Show's Unhinged podcast, a podcast from the Facebook group You Know You Work in Trade Shows When. This podcast centers on trade shows, live events, and experiential marketing activations in today's world. Your hosts are Todd Nall, who is the owner of Showbox Exhibits and the creator of the Facebook group You Know You Work in Trade Shows When, and Mike Morrison, Vice President of Sales for WS Display. The clock is ticking, so let's get busy and get to it, and we'll do just that after this.
Need a presenter? Your Event Audio has you covered. Closed-circuit audio equipment with turnkey operation at your trade show booth, live event, or private event. YourEventAudio.com is the place to go. DJ services, MC talent, and a whole lot more. Check out YourEventAudio.com today.
What's up, everybody? As you can tell, it is time for Trade Shows Unhinged on this Friday, April the 4th, 2025. Normally, you would see myself along with Todd Nall. I'm Mike Morrison, Vice President of Sales at WS Display. Todd Nall is my co-host and is the owner of Showbox Exhibits in Houston, Texas, but also the owner and founder of You Know You Work in Trade Shows When, which is the Facebook group that this show is based out of. And here at the last minute, as this industry always tends to do, a monkey wrench gets thrown at you during a scheduled recording time. And that's what happened with Todd today. So I can count on one hand over the last 8 years or so that I've been doing podcasts that this has happened and we have a change of direction and I end up going solo. So give it my best shot and try to cover what we wanted to cover today and do the best of my ability. But so I want to go back, and by the way, it's been over a month since we did our last show. I went back and looked. February the 21st was the last show that we did, Trade Shows Unhinged, and posted. But we've just been busy, which is a good thing. You know, I mean, I don't think anybody's complaining, especially in these times of questionable world situations, as well as situations in our United States with geopolitical concerns and inflation and all the other challenges that we're up against during this day and time. But back on that February 21st show, by the way, we did cover a topic, and we always ask for feedback, and I wanted to make sure that I went back and I gave credit to someone who made a statement, and it was the story that we reported about some of the concerns from the interview that came from Jason Eisenhut from Employco. You may remember that from the last show, where he talked about some of the clients within our industry being concerned that there might be raids from ICE regarding illegal aliens or undocumented immigrants, if you will, working on job sites and companies having incorrect I-9s and deportations occurring. So we asked our listeners if you had comments on that. We did have one from Michael Wright, who wrote on the Facebook group, You Know You Work in Trade Shows When, the following: companies should be worried about using illegals. I hope those businesses get caught, fined heavily, and thrown owners into jail for a while. They know exactly what they are doing. So that's no reflection on Todd or myself or the Facebook group or anyone else, but that was a listener comment that came on the Facebook group. So we did think we would share it, or at least I did, on this particular show. So let's continue. One of the things that Todd and I were going to talk about was the EXHIBITORLive show that happened just a few weeks ago in San Antonio, Texas. If you keep up with Don and Mike and that particular show, I did voice opinions along with Don about where that show was. Now that we are three weeks, I believe, removed from that show, my sales managers have been out following up with activity from the show. And some may remember we made a big announcement about LED tiles and our strategic partnership and relationship with Aria AV Rentals, a nationwide AV company that rents the LED tiles that fit our Modco product, the frames with the holes. So we're now beginning to see traction on that. So I would say overall, show did well. San Antonio, a great city. It's kind of a tier 2 town. It's easy to get into at the airport and get out of. Driving around wasn't a big challenge, even downtown in that San Antonio Riverwalk area, which is amazingly, it's beautiful at this time of year. I will say this, a kind of a joke aside, 62 years old, right? And I've been going to places all over the world, really. And for the first time ever, and if you were down in San Antonio and you were walking that Riverwalk area, especially around the Grand Hyatt and outside of the convention center, you remember seeing, especially around dusk, around nighttime, a bazillion, I don't have no such word as bazillion, but a billion birds were flying all around that area and nesting in trees. I was walking back from a dinner that I went out solo one night on my own. And for the first time in 62 years, a bird crapped on my shoulder. So it just went boom right there. And there was nothing I could do about it. So got back to the hotel, changed shirts, and moved on. But other than that, I would say San Antonio had great passing marks on being a great host to the show. EDPA Engage also occurred in that arena right down the road from the convention center and where everybody was staying in that downtown area. I made my remarks on that. I thought that event was well attended, very limited strategic, what I'll call strategic feedback, but we will see where that goes. So at this point, those are our comments about, at least my comments about Exhibitor Live, and we'll move on. I have this next line of story, which is tariff time. I think everybody understands what's going on with that. There was a mention this week, this is Thursday before our Friday launch, and there was a discussion, or at least a hint, that the president might consider relieving himself from the China tariffs if there was a social media TikTok resolution involving the company, the Chinese company that owns that company. If an American company bought it, then he might relieve those tariffs. I never heard anything else. And of course, this is Thursday, once again, before our Friday launch. And yesterday, on Wednesday, was Liberation Day, as many people probably saw the video from the Rose Garden at the White House, where he did sign an executive order that did issue reciprocal tariffs for not just one or two countries, but an entire list that was on a billboard that he shared. So it's pretty interesting information, or a video if you want to go back and Google and find it there, about what tariffs have been issued and what percentage of tariffs are being actually exercised against the United States for exporting product into their countries. But nonetheless, it has caused a big amount of grief. Stories are saying that there obviously are going to be court challenges to this executive move. We will see where it goes. But of course, when the tariff executive order did get signed for those reciprocal tariffs, the stock market did what it did. It was a little bit crazy, and we're seeing some after effects of that. And it'll be yet to be seen what it's going to do to our business. One of the things, finally, before we take a quick break, that's been in the news has been business travel, and that affects many of us in the trade show, live event, experiential marketing world. I know I'm getting ready to head this coming weekend to Charlotte, North Carolina for Shop Marketplace. It's a retail show that'll happen next week at the Charlotte Convention Center. Then we turn around, I come back home, wash clothes, pack, and then go to Las Vegas for the Experiential Marketing Summit that happens the following week, which will be mid-April. And those business travel plans have been booked, have been for a while. You look at cost of everything that's involved, and we will get into that discussion after the break. That's some very interesting news and information and data from industry colleague, if you will, another fellow industry podcaster, as well as a business owner in the Orlando area. We'll talk about that after the break. But it is interesting to watch some of the piggybacking of the concerns of the economy, what's going on with the federal layoffs, inflation, tariffs, and so forth, with business travel and just the cost of business in general for companies like ours and many of the ones who are paying attention to this show. So it'll be interesting as we start this second quarter of 2025 to watch how we progress. But I know, talking with Todd, just like today when we're getting ready to record our show, busy is busy, and we are all seemingly just extremely busy right now. It might be waning off a little for some companies as we leave first quarter and go into second quarter, but overall business seems to be good and strong despite all of the financial concerns and question marks that we're all seeing right now. So what we'll do is we'll take a real quick short break. I'll come back, and like I said, I've got some interesting data to share with you from a fellow podcaster and someone I've known in the industry for a while. It's very valid and interesting points that I can share, and see if we can't sum things up for this show for April the 4th, and we'll do that right after this.
From light boxes, towers, counters, and back walls to turnkey custom exhibits, WS Display is your partner in providing quality displays at extremely aggressive pricing to fit any reseller's budget. Make more profit by teaming up with WS. With a team of experts to assist with estimates, renderings, and CAD, to fulfillment, setup, and test fitting, quality photo proofs, and complete project handling from our East Coast, West Coast, and Pacific fulfillment facilities. We can be your partner today. Hit me up at mike@wsdisplay.com for more information. Showbox Exhibits, headquartered in Houston, Texas, where they specialize in design, fabrication, and management of your trade show displays. At Showbox, the difference starts with listening to fully understand the unique brand story that's needed. Then they create an innovative, compelling concept that reflects specific event objectives. From static trade show displays to fully custom oversized exhibits featuring multimedia graphics, Showbox brings your company's message to the masses. Showbox is a trade show, convention, and environment design agency that is full service from start to finish. They're based in Houston, Texas, but they serve worldwide. They've been creating exhibits for over 20 years. Showbox Exhibits at showboxexhibits.com.
Welcome back to Trade Shows Unhinged. So I had a little bit of the bad on the front end of the show. Of course, if you're just tuning in again, it's going solo this time for this particular show because Todd had something come up with Showbox, and that happens when you own your own business and you have the challenges that you have. I didn't get into the details of what happened, but it did throw a monkey wrench in this particular show. But once again, we want to make sure we got a show on because it's been over a month since we did our last show. And with a couple of trade shows back to back that I'm about to do, it was really questionable as to when we'll be able to circle back and have another show. So wanted to put something out there for discussion, and I talked about a little bit of bad on the front end, but at the same time that we see the bad and the ugly, a lot of good that's going on from all the reports I get back from different companies. We just did EXHIBITORLive. Many of us in the industry were in San Antonio, Texas for those events, both EDPA Engage as well as EXHIBITORLive, the CTSM trainings, everything that's going on. A lot of smiling faces, a lot of, despite the concerns of labor, the inflation, the questionable uncertainties that are going on right now. Still a lot of good going on out there. But once again, because this is the show of Trade Shows Unhinged, each week, each show that I do, I spend a lot of time researching, trying to go around and pick out the latest news that I can find regarding our industry. A lot of the publications in our industry, I hate to say it, but they kind of live and die on the surface of press releases. We see a lot of that. We don't see a lot of hard-hitting news, except for some publications that get in there and get deep into front page news and things of discussion. I know sustainability right now at the top of discussion with a lot of publications and organizations. But when I'm out there looking, I'm trying to find some data on what's going on right now in the trade show world. And cut to the chase, there's a gentleman in Orlando, and many of the event managers and industry folk know Matt Kleinrock. Now, Matt is the owner of Rockway Exhibits in Orlando, and also he hosts a podcast for event managers and event personnel across trade shows and live events. Does a great job, and I didn't tell him this, but if I had the opportunity, I would tell Matt that he very much reminds me of me 8 years ago when I started podcasting and brought my radio experience into the game. When I started Don and Mike, I was just like religiously out there doing a lot of times 2 shows a week. You know, back with Exhibit City News, we were out there putting out a lot at that time. So he's out there putting out some tremendous content. It's fun to follow and it's fun to watch. And it's fun to watch different people come out with their own podcasts. A lot of people might say, well, aren't you jealous or aren't you offended? And I'm like, no, heck no. The more people that get involved with podcasting, the more relevance everybody who plays in the sandbox gets. So I love it. And I actually, in this particular case, it wasn't the podcast that I got this data from. And I did talk with Matt and I said, you know, is it okay if I use this with permission? He said, absolutely. So I wanted to give him his props for this and doing this research. But I want to share this with you because it's very rare that I can go into, in this particular case, it was a LinkedIn post, and I can get this much data that I can share with viewers and listeners. It's very interesting. I'm just going to read it verbatim. Trade shows and events are 38% more expensive to produce compared to 2019. Think about that. What you can remember about 2019 was everybody was off the charts. Everybody had banner years. I know we did. Or we were ramping up for 2020. It was just like amazing numbers, right? For most people, for the majority. But once again, trade shows and events are 38% more expensive to produce compared to 2019. So he says, let's break this down with data, then connect some dots so event managers and marketers know what moves to make, according to what he shares. Now, here we go. Breaking down that 38% increase comparing to 2019 to today. Here's some highlights as reported. Room blocks up 30%. AV production costs are up 20 to 40%. Food and beverage up 45 to 55%. All of this compared to 2019. Venues are up 20 to 25%. Airfare up 25%. Shipping and freight up 25%. Labor anywhere between 25 and 40%. Custom fabrication and event builds are up 15 to 25%. Continuing on, electrical labor up 16%. Material handling up 2.2%. There's more on that coming in just a second. Booth furnishings up 5%. Hanging sign labor up 8%. And then I reported this on a most recent podcast myself. The data showed that the top 5 most expensive cities to exhibit in are Philadelphia, New York, Boston, Chicago, San Diego, while the top 5 least expensive cities include Atlanta, Seattle, San Antonio, Nashville, and Houston. Now, here's the quick note about drayage that he pointed out and material handling. He did a little research when he noticed material handling was only up 2.2% from 23 to 24. It's 2023 to 2024. Currently, the average in the U.S. is $2.07 per pound. Go back to 2019, material handling average per pound is showing at 99 cents to $1.43. This one's going to sting a little, but I want to preface before I say it. Material handling was a problem, and sticking point in 2019 in terms of cost. transparency, and complaints from exhibitors, all three of those. Well, it's doubled since 2019. So the 2.2% is really not valid. It's really doubled in cost. So he steps aside and he starts looking at reasoning, right? Okay, so what's going on in the world? Inflation, uncertainty with transition of power in the US, geopolitics that are unsettling, and of course, we still have travel restrictions that have been going on through ECA now for a while and a topic of discussion at the Capitol Hill. Trade shows and events are very expensive right now, but they were very expensive in 2019 and prior this inflationary run that we're having right now. These costs have always been a pain point, or at least in the last 10 years. These costs 4 to 10 years ago were not because of inflation. Here's the biggie. They were because of greed and lack of creativity. His words, not mine. We've now added inflation to that problem and amplified it. This is what happens when you don't fix big problems. For example, this is good. Man, Matt, this is amazing. Why are individual exhibitors paying $8,000 for internet for 2 days? Okay. Starlink roaming unlimited is $165 a month. Come on, it's 2025. Why are companies paying $50,000 plus for material handling? The pricing models are inflated, broken, and they certainly are non-transparent. When companies treat their event program like a cost of doing business, they get cut in times like this. Shows get cut, budgets get cut, and people lose their jobs. It's pretty simple. True. When companies treat their event programs like a sales and marketing channel, though, they see minor and more realistic cuts. Why? Because the program creates a pipeline, it accelerates a pipeline, and it drives revenue, and it's a contributor to the go-to-market plan. Lastly, it's measured and executives know it's contributing. Companies don't cut effective sales and marketing in tough times. That's a true statement, that last one. I've heard that all my career. When times are tough, you do more marketing and you go to more shows. But all of that in that LinkedIn post, I would definitely, if you don't know Matt Kleinrock, I would look him up. I would reach out to him and see if you could connect on LinkedIn. He has some amazing posts and he's doing an amazing job with his podcast. There's a lot of truth in those statements in there. And I know that steps on a lot of general contractors and service contractors and everybody involved here. But if we're not careful, we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot. And I was going to talk with Todd about this, but you know, this trend of companies saying, you know what, bunk these trade shows, these corporate industry trade shows. I'll just have my own event. And I can't lie to you. I've sat down and looked at research about taking our show, meaning our show, the WS product, on the road and doing private shows in certain municipalities and bringing clients in, much like the big boys are doing. If you're familiar with the PGA golf show, there's a lot of people who have dropped out of that show and they go and they rent a resort and they bring everybody in and they have them isolated to show them products and services without having to pay $50,000 in material handling charges or $8,000 for 2 days worth of internet. So there's some trends going on. And if we're not careful, we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot and we're going to cut it off. So an interesting article to wrap things up today on Trade Shows Unhinged. Once again, sorry I went solo and may have been a little boring in this particular episode, but we definitely wanted to get one out there before we got too much time that went by. If you have a comment and you want to say something about what we're talking about, what I'll do is I will put the email address across the ticker there at the bottom. It's tradeshowsunhinged@gmail.com. Of course, you can make your comments in the actual post in Facebook with, you work in Trade Shows Win, and we also post in other locations as well in social media. So you can make comments there. But our email address, once again, across the screen, tradeshowsunhinged@gmail.com. So like I said, on the road for the next couple of weeks, maybe by the 1st of May, we can come back with our next show. We try to do it every couple of weeks, but like I said, March just kind of got away from us. So we appreciate you checking us out here for April, and hope you have a great start of your second quarter of 2025. And we'll look to hear from you soon.